All right. Good evening. Let's call this meeting to order. It's Thursday, July 19th, 2018. The time is 6:31. Roll call, please.
Harper,
Here.
King, Marsh,
Here.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Present.
Rector, Rosales, Storr, Summers, Tinsley, Anderson, Clemens,
Here.
Clifford, Coert, Cruz, Douglas,
Here.
Esri,
Here.
Fortato, Goss,
Here.
Weibel.
Present. We have a quorum. I'll point out that Mr. Patterson and Mr. Tinsley are in the building, so they should be in here momentarily. Tonight's prayer is a prayer for simplicity. May the God of simplicity be with you, opening you to a clear vision of what is real and true, leading you deeply into the mystery of childhood, and may your dealing with others be marked by honesty, which is simplicity. And may the blessing of simplicity be on you. Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please read the notice of the meeting?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois will convene on July 19th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. in the Lyle Shields Meeting Room, Brookins Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees, and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. Seek approval of the agenda. There are no agenda time. Moved by Max. Moved by Mr. Mitchell, a second by Mr. Rosales. Discussion on the agenda. See none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the date and time of our next regular meetings. County Facilities, Tuesday, August 7th at 6:30 in this room. Environment and Land Use, Thursday, August 9th at 6:30, also in this room. Highway and Transportation, Friday, August 10th at 9 a.m. in the Highway and Transportation Building. Committee of the Whole for Justice, Social Services, Policy, Personnel, and Appointments, and Finance on Tuesday, August 14th at 6:30 in this room. And finally, the regular county board meeting will be next month will be on August 23rd at 6:30, also here. And next month, we have two legislative budget hearings on Monday, August 27th, and Tuesday, August 28th, starting at 6 o'clock, not 6:30, at 6 o'clock in this room. Next up, we have public participation, 5 people each. We have like half a dozen or so. Yvonne Sandler, you're up. Sorry, Sadler.
That's one less to do. You forgot to tell us 4 minutes, right?
We'll give you 5.
Okay. I'm Yvonne Sadler. I live at 2410 East Illinois in Urbana-L in Scottswood Edition. It's quite a problem out there. This is almost, we've been working on this starting in August, and we haven't accomplished hardly anything. Recently, since the first of the year, like April, May, and June, I have tried just to get one block even halfway clean, you know. And the reason was for this one block, this Betty Rao, who is really a very nice retired teacher, is going to have company from all over the country of retired teachers to her house, her home. And it's between 30 and 40. And I mean, it's a mess. We have totes that's been out there for almost 10 years. And they did get the burnt house down to the ground. Now we have a lot of vandalism in the neighborhood. Now they tore the fence that was around it down, and it was even sitting out in the streets, but they did get it mowed too. And I'll tell you about the sheriff's department. Since you guys revised your ruling, we only have one car that's left out there, and they're working on that now to remove from the streets. And that really makes it look a lot less cluttered. You know, when you're driving, you think all these cars are just posted down there. So that makes it hard. Also, we've been told that it is really almost useless for us to work towards getting these things done. And Mike, who was just here, he got a few boys together and went at 404 Dotson, which is the abandoned house. And Betty lives next to that house, the one that's going to have the, nice dinner party. So him and those boys have worked on that, Mike's worked on it now for about 4 days. The boys work one day. And he has a whole trailer full of trash, plus a truck full of stuff. And then he still has another trip or two to make. And this is costing, Betty paid, she paid for some.
Betty paid $80. I hired 3 of the local boys to help me, and I gave them, each boy, I gave them $22 apiece. And then I took $4 and put $4 worth of gas in my lawnmower.
So, we really, we're trying to slow it down instead of just pursuing the whole neighborhood at one time. We're trying to slow it down so that we can work on just a little bit at a time, but it's not working.
What I would like to ask the board is, I'm willing to help get my community cleaned up. And I shared with the members at the last meeting, I can't walk out my truck, out my yard, and I got 4 or 5 of the neighbor boys who want to work and want to help me. So we've got the labor to do it, and I don't mind doing it for the gas money, but I don't know if someone on the board could help me. I called Urbana Recycling. They want about $75 for me to empty that truck there at the recycling on the brush, and it's just so expensive to get rid of the waste. The new Habitat for Humanity property, someone has already dumped brush on the new property at Habitat for Humanity where they're building that new house. The lot that we tore, that the house was tore down and was fenced, somebody has busted that gate open and dumped brush in that new lot that was just cleaned up. So I think a lot of people must be in the same boat. They just can't afford to get rid of that garbage or the cuttings and the leaves. And I don't know if is there any grant money available, or is there anyone that could help me try to find out what I could do with this. I don't mind doing the work. I'm retired now. I don't mind paying for the gas and the labor. I give the boys a little extra money when I can, but I need some help on if there's some sort of program or something, or if you guys can help me, introduce me to the right person where we can get rid of this stuff affordable. I'd like your help. Thank you.
Next is Michael Van Pett.
Yes.
Oh, that was,
You
Van.
can introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm Michael Van Pelt,
Okay.
and I live at 2424 East Green Street. And we've had some successes in our neighborhood, and we've had some setbacks, but we're working steadily forward it. But what we're lacking is some rules and regulations. If we had the same rules and regulations that the city of Urbana has in our county, we could get a lot of things cleaned up. We just don't have the teeth in our laws in order for us to get anything enforced or anybody to get the yard cleaned up. So somehow we kind of need to get some new rules and regulations that's either going to force these people to get their lots cleaned up, some sort of fine, some incentive for them. If you go drive by Betty's house, a beautiful house, the yard's landscaped, beautiful flowers, and then right next to this is that mess that I cleaned up because Betty didn't want to live by it no more. And we've been fighting it for over a year now, trying to contact the owner, trying to contact the city, kind of contacting the bank. And Betty just got tired of it. So Betty said, Mike, clean it up. So we took it on ourselves and we cleaned it up. I mowed 8 yards today. I've made agreement, and anybody in the Scottswood development will mow your yard for $4. That'll pay for the gas. So we're trying. I'm not asking for anything. I'm willing to work and I'm willing to help, but I want to try to get my community cleaned up. We've been fighting the school bus man. It's pulling our community down. Now across the street, 2 houses down, I got a guy running a junk business. His truck says right on it, junk. He's got a trailer parked out front with a broken axle. The sheriff made him drag it off the street, so he drug it up into the front yard. And he's running a transfer station out of a residential area. But since there's no rules and regulations, he's going to do whatever he wants. I walked across the street and tried to talk to him. He's got the most foul language you've ever heard come out of someone's mouth. Told me that he'd do whatever he wanted whenever he wanted. Dirty shingles, pallets, it's just a mess. And now the house next to him is the house that I'm trying to buy. And my banker came out and looked at it, and he told me, he said, Mike, walk away. He told me to walk away. He said, I don't want to loan you any money on that house. He said, with that next to you? So what's going to happen to that house across the street now? It's going to turn into a second house just like that junk house. And then it's just going to go right down the street. And we got to save these properties. And you guys got to give me some rules and regulations that we can enforce so somebody won't start a junk business and a trash service in our neighborhood. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
I just have a couple more things to say. We would really, when we're told that something is going to be done, we would appreciate if there was follow-through on it, instead of having to keep coming back, month after month over the same little thing, and so we can move on. So that I do appreciate you guys listening to us, and we really need help. So please.
Next is Mr. Mark Sheldon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you tonight about the proposal to eliminate the recorder's office. First, thanks to all the board members who have taken the time to talk to me about this. As you can imagine, this is something I'd prefer had not come up. It came up about 3 years ago, and now here we are again after receiving 3 votes 3 years ago. We're back here again. I'm in a different position because I'm now an incumbent, and so this has been a great opportunity, actually, to talk about our office, how it's funded, what we've accomplished, and what our goals are for the future. The memos I've sent out detail the arguments in support of maintaining this office as independent. First, let's be clear, not a single dime of property tax is used to fund this office. Fees brought into the office fund all of its direct and indirect costs. No other office in the county does that. I have detailed the many ways that we are moving our office forward. Each of these programs requires work on my part and can't simply be absorbed by a county clerk who's plenty busy with other items. The idea that consolidation has worked in other counties ignores some very important points. First, the level of service in some of those counties has gone down. Second, many of those counties were not run well to begin with. Third, most of those offices did not have a fee structure that paid for their expenses. And fourth, most of those offices are not making the advances that we are in service and in technology. The list of counties that have consolidated is merely a list. For the record, Macon County is on the list, but they have not consolidated. But the list provides no information about these budgets in those counties, no information about the staffing levels, no information about their fee structures, no information about any restrictions on service for the people that use the office. The list provides or operates under the very wrong assumption that our office is similar to all those other offices in all those respects. So let me give you an example. In McHenry County, they just voted to consolidate the recorder with the clerk. They have just over twice the volume of documents that we have, but they currently have 19 people where we have 4.5. When the recorder, when he ran on a platform eliminating the office, when he actually took office, they were at 29 people, 7 times the number of people that we have in our office. So he's reduced it. I think he has some plans to reduce it even more. But my point there is, it's not reasonable to compare the consequences of a consolidation in our office with the consolidation in an office that is, quite frankly, overstaffed, while our office is running under a very tight budget. To the credit of previous boards, some of you who have been on here, and Deb Busey, and I've been through a lot of budget meetings when I was county clerk, we've had a lot of tough times, and a lot of times we did not expand budgets when maybe people wanted, and a lot of retirements ended up being, not filled. But because of that, pretty much every county office, when it comes to staffing, is operating under a very, very tight staffing that isn't replicated in a lot of these other counties. I've received very little information about what the future of recording is going to look like. The only thing we hear is that we're going to reduce the amount given to the office by presumably eliminating my position and replacing me with somebody who's going to make far less. I'm at a loss, quite frankly, how anyone can believe that the work I'm doing can be done under this proposal. I've certainly not heard from anyone about who will do the work that is detailed in the memo that I sent out, not to mention day-to-day work that I'm doing that somebody's going to have to do still. Consolidation of the office with the clerk that results in fewer dollars being spent in the office will absolutely mean that many of these programs, probably most of them, are just not going to move forward. Once again, I thank all of you who have reached out to me on this proposal, taken the time to learn more about what we're doing, what the future of our office can be if we continue to operate the way we are set up right now. So thank you very much.
Darlene Kleppel.
My name is Darlene Kleppel, and I'm a taxpayer in Champaign County for the last 22 years. I want to speak in favor of using facts and good decision-making model to consider whether to keep the Office of the County Recorder of Deeds separate or consolidate it with the County Clerk's Office. Is there a need for this office? The Recorder oversees an administrative office that provides record-keeping functions for county real estate transactions. While the function of the office is mandated, the Office of Recorder can be consolidated with the County Clerk and is in many Illinois counties. On the Recorder's website, the current Recorder identifies the vision for his office is to get a new website and to hold a new user meeting. Worthy goals, but not a vision that should require county voters to elect someone every 4 years to do so. Is the office financially viable? Recording fees do generate enough revenue to support the operation of the office and contribute additionally to the county's general fund. Elimination of the elected office would not affect these revenues nor the quality of the work being performed by the county hardworking staff. Consolidating the recorder's office with the clerk's office would impact expenses, however, and in a positive way. Hiring one additional staff person under the county clerk at a salary of approximately $40,000 instead of keeping the recorder's current salary, which is now $91,000, would save the county $60,000 per year in salary and benefits. Is there another reason to keep the office? This position is sometimes used as a local government level to jumpstart political careers. While it is necessary for politicians to gain experience, there are many other options available locally, and I support implementation in 2020 rather than 2018 to be fair to the current incumbent. Constituents are asking for accountability, and I urge the board members to bring this issue to the voters to see whether keeping the current expensive structure for the county's office or the recorder's office is a priority for spending their hard-earned tax dollars. At a time when county finances are being stretched to the breaking point, this is an easy opportunity to make a change that can positively impact the budget without affecting quality of services the county provides to its residents, and I intend to support consolidation. Thank you.
Ms. Kim Harden.
Hi, everybody. I didn't write anything down to share today. I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to Ms. Petrie, Mr. Anderson, and Mr. Storr for responding to my emails and starting the wheels turning on making something happen with the property mess at my house. So I don't really have anything more than that. I just wanted to express my appreciation.
Is there any other public participation? Okay, we'll close that. Move on to consent agenda, which contains one item. Does anybody want to take the item off the agenda? I think Mr. Goss wants to move to approve it. Is that correct? Is there a second? Second by Mr. Esrae. Roll call, please.
Harper,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
McGuire. Mitchell. Patterson. Petrie,
Yes.
Rector. Rosales.
Yes.
Storr. Summers. Tinsley.
Yes.
Anderson. Clemens. Clifford. Cowart. Cruz. Douglas. Esri.
Yes.
Furtado. Goss.
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries. Next up, communications from county board members. Mr. King.
Yes, so just reporting to the rest of fellow board members that this will be my last county board meeting. I'll be, I guess, resigning after this one, moving my family upstate New York. Had a great opportunity to take a position at Cornell University, and so I'll be transitioning out of town here perhaps within the next month. So I just wanted to say thank you for all the folks that sat down and worked side by side, and for the disagreements that we had, and the agreements as well. I've certainly enjoyed the work, and I hate that I'm leaving so abruptly, but I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and just wish you well in your work going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Ms. Petrie, did you have a comment? Mr. Harper, you have your microphone on.
Yes, I'm sure Mr. Esri, as chair of ELUC, and Mr. Hall, who is with us this evening, will do some follow-up on those issues in Scottswood, and I'm happy to work on them as a member of the ELUC committee.
Other communications. Mr. Goss, would you mind turning off the microphone on public participation? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to seek approval of the minutes of June 21st, 2018. Moved by Mr. Rosales, second by Mr. Rector. Discussion of the minutes. See none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the final reentry program report. For your information, we'll place that on file. We had a report on that recently. Ms. Petrie?
Yes, I just want to put on the public record, since people connected with the program could not come this evening, that I do have a number of questions, and I will be contacting them and asking a series of questions that developed after reading the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the second page, we've already covered the ELUC item that was on the consent agenda. Let's move on to finance. Ms. Furtado.
Just one note of order. Did we skip the reentry program report?
That was just for presentation.
Okay, got you, sorry. Okay, finance, adoption of resolution number 2018206, authorizing payment of claims.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Patterson.
Oh,
Discussion, see none, all in favor? All opposed, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 2018-207, authorizing purchases not following purchasing policy.
Second by Mr. Anderson. Discussion. Ms. Petrie.
Yes, I believe Ms. Michaels can give us the total on that, because I did contact her this afternoon, so she would know I'd have that question, because I had requested such a month ago. And I also had asked for an explanation of the monitoring service. Those bills are not gigantuan, but there are a number of them. And I think she has an answer for that, too.
She got the right, you got the better side of her face?
I need the skinny side.
Keep your chin up while she does it.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I have information as requested by Ms. Petrie. Once again, purchases not following purchasing policy. At the top, you'll see that we had a couple of payments that were actually from fiscal year 16 that we paid this year. Further down the line, the total for the Champaign County Nursing Home, mostly from the 2017 year that was paid in 2018, is $81,094.09. There's a grand total of $239. Of course, there's a bulk in there from RPC that had some fees due to Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit. But back to the nursing home, the monitoring service was to provide a trust. That is a monthly billing that we have for a healthcare compliance software. It has to do with Medicaid and licensing verifications.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Ms. Michaels on this topic? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I would just like to note the next 8 items will take a roll call. Adoption of resolution number 2018-211, authorizing budget amendment 18-00034, Fund 080, General Corporate Departments, 043, Emergency Management Agency, and 040, Sheriff increased appropriations, $1,400, increased revenue, $1,400.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. King. Discussion. I want to point out that the next 8 items need a roll call plus need 15 votes also. So roll call, please.
Harper,
Yes.
King, Marsh,
Yes.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales,
Yes.
Storr, Summers, Tinsley,
Yes.
Anderson, Clemmons, Clifford, Coert, Cruz, Douglas, Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 2018-209, authorizing budget amendment 18-0035, Fund 621, State's Attorney Drug Forfeitures, Department 041, State's Attorney, increased appropriations $4,000, increased revenue, none from fund balance.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. King. Discussion. Seeing none, roll call.
Harper,
Yes.
King, Marsh,
Yes.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales,
Yes.
Storr, Summers, Tinsley,
Yes.
Anderson, Clemmons, Clifford, Coert, Cruz, Douglas, Esri, Furtado, Goss,
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 2018-210, authorizing budget amendment 18-00036, Fund 476, self-funded insurance, Department 118, property liability insurance, increased appropriation $75,000, increased revenue, none from fund balance.
Second by Mr. King again. Discussion of this item. They got a tag team partnership tonight. Okay, roll call.
Harper,
Yes.
King, Marsh,
Yes.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson. Petrie.
Yes.
Rector. Rosales. Store. Summers. Tinsley.
Yes.
Anderson. Clemmons. Clifford. Coert. Cruz. Douglas. Esri.
Yes.
Furtado.
Yes.
Goss.
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
I want to make a note that the next 4 of these items are all grants funding that has been received by RPC, and the director, Salamayo, is here to answer any questions. I know some folks had questions, so he is here. And I want to mention that just to commend RPC, there's over $1 million in funding here for programs we otherwise would not be able to do. And I could just tell you, as somebody who used to write grants, just one of these applications is dozens and dozens of hours of preparation, and they're highly, especially federal grants, are highly competitive. So it really speaks well to the work that they're doing, that they're receiving these funds. And with that said, adoption of resolution number 2018212, authorizing budget amendment 18-00037, Fund 110, Workforce Development, Department 798, Young Adult Reentry Project, increase appropriations $500,000, increase revenue $500,000.
I'll take the second by Mr. Patterson. All right, Mr. Tinsley, you want it? Okay, Mr. Tinsley gets a second. It's getting competitive here. Questions, discussion, Mr. McGuire.
Yes, I'd like Mr. Delizzo to come up and speak on this one, please. Give us a short answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board. Indeed, we are fortunate to be one of 41 organizations in the country to be awarded these reentry funds. A total about $84.4 million by the federal government. This is a 3-year project, so I know that the appropriation that we're seeking from you tonight states that it's for $500,000, but the total grant is for $1.5 million, and it'll be about a 39-month project. We will be working with several partners in the community, some of whom you are familiar with. Actually, our first meeting with our federal program officer was earlier this week, and tomorrow will be the first time that our team will actually start to put the work plan together and some of the agreements that we have to structure with some of our partners. And so I believe the plan in the grant is to give us about a 3-month time frame to put together all the plans in place before we actually begin the work. As pointed out in the document provided to you, we will be looking at serving about 188 young adults between the ages of 18 and 24. This is only in the Champaign County area, and I know it does leverage our workforce development that we do in a 4-county area, but this particular project will only be focused in Champaign County. A lot of the work that we'll be doing is clearly out of my wheelhouse, but there'll be a multi-pronged approach to working with these young adults so that they are successful in not only obtaining employment, but actually retaining the employment. So there'll be a lot of case management provided by our staff. We will be looking into hiring additional staff to provide that case management as well as career counseling for those individuals that we'll be working with. But again, there will be a number of community partners we'll be working with that do have experience in working with that particular population that is targeted in this announcement. So the commencement of this project actually is July 1st, and that is why we're coming to you tonight for this appropriation. So it's July 1, 2018, and then again, as I said, it's a 39-month period project. So I'll take any questions.
Ms. Petrie.
I have several. Can you give us some sense of the different agencies you
Sure.
will be collaborating with? Can you help us understand how you will be capturing and reaching out to the youth in the rural area? It's very easy in the sense there's structures that exist for those in the municipalities, but the rural area, that's probably a little bit harder. And after you have things set up, you said approximately 3 months, maybe 4 months, if you could then provide for the county board just a cognitive scaffolding of what you all decided on and just a sort of an outline of how you project your 3 years worth of funding and spending going.
Sure.
Thank you.
So to the first question, some of the partners that we're going to be working with in the community will be First Followers, Dream Opportunity Center, Rosecrans, and then the Land of Lincoln Legal Assistance Foundation, as well as the Heartland Bank and Trust Company. So those are the entities that we did have conversations with prior to submitting the grant back in May. But then as far as your other two questions in terms of how we're going to target particularly the youth in the rural areas, I think a lot of that information will be fleshed out as we begin to have these conversations in the next few weeks. And so our first meeting is actually tomorrow with our team, and I will be glad to come back to the county board and provide to you more of a full-fledged scope of how we're going to go about addressing this.
A follow-up, and are you going to be, since you have the age group of 18 to 24 as your target age range, will you be working at all with workforce development and the group of people out there? You didn't mention them in your...
We are. So actually, this does complement what we are doing already with workforce development. But as you know, our workforce development program does focus in 4 counties, but this will be just Champaign County. Okay, but we are, and actually the staff that we're going to be hiring for this particular project will be housed at our Mattis location, which is where we do our workforce. Yeah. Thank you.
Other questions? Ms. Cruz?
I just had a question about the apprenticeships. So will there be a relationship built then with the local apprenticeship programs that are within Champaign County with the building trades?
Yes, and so that is actually something that we did discuss in our application in terms of how we're going to engage all of the. Well, let me answer it a couple ways. So yes, apprenticeships, we will be taking advantage of what we have in place in our community, but there are also various jobs that we'll be focusing our training on that are actually approved by our Workforce Investment Board. So again, a lot of that will be fleshing out in the next few weeks in terms of how we can maximize the resources that we already have in our community to assist these individuals. Thank you. And actually, the chair of the Finance Committee provided the, is it a guideline that was developed on working with the trades? So.
Ms. Furtado, go
And
ahead.
I just wanted to say, I've talked to some folks in the trades, and they're really excited about this, and anything that they could do to help you, they're really, really excited about this. And I also wanted to mention, one of the things as finance chair that I'm doing right now, just to remind you all, please take advantage of it, trying to hear from folks what's important for their areas with budget. And I had this really good conversation with board member Tinsley, and pretty much he almost said this paragraph was the kind of thing that he really wanted in his area and for the board to be more doing. So if you could be psychic and anticipate more of the needs that the board is going to say, that would be fantastic. But I mean, this is really meeting a need that is immediate and that is recognized by members of the board. So thank you for that.
Any other questions for Mr. King?
Yeah, congratulations. I think this is great work for you and your staff. And I just had like 2 or 3 questions. The first one was, maybe you're not quite there yet, but if you could maybe speak to how you will share the info of the program, maybe with your target audience, as one. And then a second question, so I know you have metrics I suppose you will have to show for the grant. Could you maybe speak to a little bit about what you'll be collecting in terms of metrics to show positive response to the work that you all will do? And then the third question, looking at the agencies you're partnering with, is there any that you know of, any work that may happen with any faith-based agencies in the community? So a tie-in with some of the within some of the communities, a lot of the youth that you might be targeting in the 18 to 24 range may be connected to the faith-based organizations or churches and so forth. So just looking for ways for you to target the group. So,
To your first question, so kind of debated on whether to have a press release on the award of this funding prior to us bringing this before the county board, and we did not have that press release shared with the media, but we will be doing that following this meeting tonight. So with that said, I think the community will be, if they're not watching tonight, will be aware of the resources that will be coming to the community to address this specific need. In terms of the outcomes, there are outcomes outlined in our proposal on what we're going to be measuring in terms of success. I don't remember them off on top of my head, but I can certainly provide that to the county. But we do have defined outcomes that we will be measuring and collecting during the project period. And matter of fact, I think after the project period has ended, we will still continue to collect that information, and we'll provide that to our funding source. In terms of engagement of faith-based organizations, as you know, when you're putting a grant together, sometimes you don't have all the time to get all the partners that you want to have involved in your initiative. And so as we develop the work plan for this initiative, I'm sure there will be other opportunities we'll be looking at in the community so that we are certainly engaging all those that are interested in doing this work.
Ms. Petrie, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, building on what Robert talked to you about, the number 3 in his comments, I was very interested that he's bringing this up because at the meeting on the 28th of June at Douglas Center on guns and violence, you were there.
I was, yes.
You heard what was said by a black minister who's involved in midnight basketball. And he pointed out that there are 36 black churches in that area. I'm quoting him, and it was in the newspaper, so I'm not paraphrasing, and pointed out that they're not engaged, yet we still have all of the violence we have, unfortunately, running through the north end. So I think Robert has made an extremely important comment, and I'm glad to hear that as you work your way through all the context in your planning in the next 3 months, that somehow you can touch base with probably not 36, but
Absolutely.
I didn't know there were that many. It was an educational point for me, but as much as possible to engage people, because my sense of his comment, and again, you heard it, was wanting to have it happen.
Sure.
It wasn't a criticism, it was more an indicator. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Court.
I'd like to know, I see you say 188 young adults. Is that per year for the 3 years?
I believe that's for the entire 3 years. So I'll have to verify that in the application, but I believe that's the total number that we're going to be targeting for the next 3 years.
Because I can imagine there'll be more than 188
Sure.
Young people that would like to participate in this program.
Yeah, but I think in terms of the amount of time it takes to do case management, I mean, the resources are what they are, but I'll have to verify if it's 188 per year, if it's 188 total for the entire 3 years, but I think it's for the entire 3 years.
Okay, well, maybe you can get the building trades to take on some of the responsibility.
Sure.
And train more youth. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tinsley.
Just to follow up on Ms. Core, was there a cap number on the amount of youth you were willing to take?
I'm sorry?
Maximum number that you were willing to take, like?
So again, I think, which is kind of related to her question, I'll have to look at the application to ensure if the 188 is the maximum that we can actually take on based on the resources that we have been awarded. Actually, what we were awarded is what we asked for. So I'm sure when the application was being put together, there were factors that were taken into consideration as to how much time how much in terms of resources can be devoted to a particular person so that we can ensure that they're successful as they go through the various training and therapy and other things that we have addressed in the application. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Patterson?
Thanks for coming out tonight. Do you have any plans to have a formal relationship with the county reentry council?
The County Reentry Council? I'm sure that'll be one of the entities that we will be engaging. Again, I think tomorrow is the beginning of our work, and so if there's anything that has been kind of missed as we put this application together, those will be some of the conversations we'll begin to have tomorrow.
And I had a question. So is this program, it says reentry, but kind of the language it uses, it's kind of confusing. Are all of the participants going to be people who are exiting DOC?
My understanding is that these are folks that have, had engagement with the Department of Corrections, and we're trying to help them transition into the workforce. And by providing, various interventions so that they are successfully transitioning into the workforce. That's my understanding of the design by the federal government.
Okay. And is it too early to know how you guys are going to be targeting or, locating clients for the program?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the.
Is it still a little too early to know fully how you guys are going to be finding your clients if you're not going to be?
There are various outreach strategies that are outlined in the proposal, but again, I think tomorrow, as our team sort of looks at all of that, we'll put some more flesh on to the bones as far as how we're going to go about doing this work. And I think that's kind of why the federal government has given us 3 months to have some planning. And so we will look at what we've proposed, the reality on the ground, and some gaps that we may have, and then how we can address that so that when we fully commence this program, that we are comprehensive in our approach.
Yeah, thanks. It's certainly a lot of moving parts to this. So, I'm really, really excited you guys are taking this on. Thank you.
Yeah, and we really just found out about it like 2 weeks ago, and so things have been moving pretty fast since we found out that we were awarded. So.
Final chance for questions or comments. Okay, thank you, Dylan. So let's have a roll call.
Harper,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales,
Yes.
Storr, Summers, Tinsley,
Yes.
Anderson, Clemens, Clifford, Cowart,
Yes.
Cruz, Douglas, Esri,
Yes.
Furtado, Goss,
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 2018-218, authorizing budget amendment 18-00038, Fund 075, Regional Planning Commission, Department 613, subsidized utility assistance, increased appropriation $30,000, increased revenue $30,000.
So second. We'll give it to Mr. Rosales. Discussion. Roll call.
Harper,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Marsh, McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales, Storr, Summers, Tinsley,
Yes.
Anderson, Clemens, Clifford, Cowart, Cruz, Douglas, Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss, Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 2018-219, authorizing budget amendment 18-00039, Fund 075, Regional Planning Commission, Department 614, Energy Efficiency Database Development, increased appropriations $565,000, increased revenue $565,000.
Sir, second. Second by Mr. King. Discussion. See none, roll call.
Harper,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Marsh, McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales, Store, Summers, Tinsley, Anderson, Clemmons, Clifford, Coert, Cruz, Douglas, Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss, Weibel.
Yes, we still have 15 votes. Motion carries.
Should I wait for the M's to come back, or? We lost a whole part of the alphabet. Adoption of resolution number 2018220, authorizing budget amendment 18-00040, Fund 075, Regional Planning Commission 846, Justice System Diversion Program. Increased appropriations $65,074, increased revenue $65,074.
Second by Mr. Harper. Discussion. See none, roll call.
Harper,
Yep.
King, Marsh,
Yes.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales.
Yes.
Store, Summers, Tinsley,
Yes.
Anderson, Clemmons, Clifford, Coert, Cruz, Douglas, Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 2018221, authorizing budget amendment 18-00041, Fund 080, General Corporate, Department 041, State's Attorney, increased appropriation $65,000, increased revenue none from fund balance. This is in relationship to the Carl case.
Second by Mr. Storr. Discussion. Mr. Harper.
How long is this going to go on?
Huh?
I mean,
That's my answer. I think everybody got the answer from the lawyers, too. We don't know. Sorry. Ms. Petrie.
Does anybody have a total of how much it has cost us up to this point in time, the county?
No, because it's in the routine costs of the state's attorney's office and some cost of, an assistant state's attorney who's devoted most of his time to this case over a period of many years. This is, I believe, the first time that the board has been asked for a budget amendment, but we're getting close to trial, and there are a lot of depositions and some additional consulting assistance that is needed to prepare at this point. So.
That part I understand. What I was curious is for the gain back to the county in relationship to the time and effort that has been put on for what you just listed through.
It's not something that has been tracked.
Okay, thanks.
I will say, in reference to the gain back to the county, just let's remember that it's millions of dollars, either that we are going to, it's a significant swing. So it's an investment that is very important for us and will have very significant impact on the core services of our county, depending on its outcome.
And it's not just the county either. It's a $20 million lawsuit, basically.
I understand. I was just curious because it's just taken a lot of time of staff and everything to evaluate all this.
Further discussion. Okay, roll call.
Harper,
yes.
King,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales,
Yes.
Store, Summers, Tinsley,
Yes.
Anderson, Clemmons, Clifford, Coert, Cruz, Douglas, Esri,
Yes.
Furtado, Goss,
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution 2018222, approving the fiscal year 2019 Violent Crime Victims Assistant Program grant agreement between the Illinois Attorney General's Office and the state's attorney.
Second by Ms. Cowart. Discussion. See none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
A point of order, can I take the if there's no objection, can I take all of these in a group?
Yes, you can. Just make sure you read the numbers into the record.
Okay. Do I have to ask if there's any, or I could just get to do it?
I would say just do it.
Okay. I didn't know if you had that power. Adoption of resolution number 2018213, authorizing the cancellation of the appropriate certificate of purchase on a mobile home permanent parcel number 20-040-0029. Adoption of resolution number 2018214, authorizing the cancellation of the appropriate certification of purchase on a mobile home permanent parcel number 15-025-0736. Adoption of resolution number 2018215, authorizing the cancellation of the appropriate certificate of purchase on a mobile home permanent parcel number 20-900-0023. Adoption of resolution number 2018216, authorizing the cancellation of the appropriate certificate of purchase on a mobile home permanent parcel 15-025-0424. And adoption of resolution number 2018217, authorizing the cancellation of the appropriate certificate of purchase on a mobile home permanent parcel 14-019-0101.
Second by Mr. Goss. Discussion on any of those? See none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Furtado. Next up is policy personnel appointments. We have a couple items. Mr. Rosales.
Okay, what you all been waiting for tonight. Item B, policy personnel and appointments. Who will move adoption of resolution number 2018-208, placing the question of elimination of the elected office of recorder in Champaign County on the November 20th, November 2018 election ballot.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Cruz. Discussion. Ms. Petrie.
Yes. I move that this resolution be amended from the date of 2018 to 2020, and I have copies here to pass around to everybody on the board of the amendment.
Could you specify where that would like in the, perhaps you could specify where you want those changes, so.
Can I borrow a sheet back?
It looks like it'd be on the, just in the question itself.
Yes, on the, and the last words, changing it to effective December 1, 2020.
Correct. The top would still be November 2018 ballot, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have a motion on the floor to amend it, but changing that date, it'll be in the actual ballot question. Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Mr. Summers. Discussion on the amendment. Ms. Petrie.
May I speak to that, please? Thank you very much. This
point of the one we passed on. This actually is a typo on that. It says November 2020 at the top. That should read November 2018 at the top in the title.
Sorry, it didn't get totally corrected.
Okay, all right, go ahead with the comments.
Thank you for making that point. The reason for this at this time, when it came up in between 2014 and 16, that was at a time when the then recorder was retiring, and so it was a nice clean break. I have been a little concerned about the date of 2018 from the perspective that's midterm and an already elected official who is doing some things to improve that office. And as I look at the information provided by Ms. Busey, like type of counties as our own who have approved merging the office or changing it so it's an independent appointed office within the county have approved this, but have approved the implementation at the next election cycle, which is 2020. And that is the reason for my amendment.
Discussion on the amendment. Mr. King.
So just for clarity, the statement on the current or the November ballot would be what you have listed in that box right there, right, Ms. Petrie?
That is accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion. Mr. McGuire.
So I guess would have to discuss the need for the office now. I mean, we didn't want.
No, that'd be on the, that'd be after this amendment is decided. This is on rather just to change the wording on the ballot.
Okay.
Further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? I'm sorry, Mr. Gus? Anybody else want a roll call? Okay, let's go with the roll call. You guys gotta be a little faster on those. We're voting.
Ready?
Go ahead.
Harper,
No.
King, Marsh,
No.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales,
No.
Storr, Summers, Tinsley, Anderson, Clemens, Clifford, Cowart, Cruz, Douglas,
Yes.
Esri,
No.
Furtado, Goss,
No.
Weibel.
Yes, my count is 11-11, is that correct?
That's correct.
I'd like to hear that from the clerk, actually. Yes. Okay, thank you. Motion fails. So we're back to the main amendment. Discussion on the main amendment. Sorry, main motion. Thank you. Any discussion? Is there a second roll call? All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's have a roll call.
Harper,
No.
King,
No.
Marsh,
No.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson,
Yes.
Petrie,
No.
Rector, Rosales,
No.
Storr, Summers, Tinsley, Anderson, Clemens, Clifford, Cowart, Cruz, Douglas, Esri,
No.
Furtado, Goss,
No.
Weibel.
Yes. Motion fails.
Number 2, adoption of resolution number 2018-221, approving the appointment of election judges for the 2018 through 2020 term. And I believe the list of elected judges for 2018-2020 term should have been distributed.
In the yellow package, I'll point out that this is actually 2018-223. A typo's also in the booklet too, so it's 223. The resolution number.
Oh, okay. Should I repeat it?
I think it's on record, we're okay. So that's what, so we need a second, Mr. Esri. Discussion. Mr. McGuire.
Well, I'd just like to thank all those that work to make our elections work well, and I know it's a long day, and we appreciate all these judges and people involved. Thank you.
Further discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then finally, for information only, is the ADA report to the Department of Justice. Sorry, Mr. Rosales, I took that from you. Thank you. Any questions on that? Ms. Petrie?
Well, I do think Ms. Ogden deserves a huge thank you for the long process, and also other staff members who have been involved in this. I know Ms. Busey and others, but a lot of the onus fell on Ms. Ogden's shoulders. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more item. Mr. Anderson, would you make the motion, please?
I'd be honored. I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1 to consider employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or other dismissal of specific employees of Champaign County. I further move that the following individuals remain present: County Administrator, Deputy County Administrator of Finance, and Recording Secretary, and that'll be a roll call.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Esri. Roll call, please.
Harper,
Yes.
King, Marsh.
Yes.
McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales.
Yes.
Storr, Summers, Tinsley,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Clemens, Clifford, Coert, Cruz, Douglas, Esri.
Yes.
Hurtado, Goss, Wyville.
Yes, we're going into closed session. Upon our members of the public, there will be no action after this, so you might as well go home.